Are you feeling like your self-esteem or confidence has been knocked recently? Maybe it's been damaged by something. Well, I want to talk about 3 ways to really start protecting it a little bit more from my own experience. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra special point for you then as well. Now, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life, like any human being, particularly in the last year, admittedly. Really had some ups and downs, but it's also allowed me to become super aware of what's going on. And there are a couple of things I've observed. Sometimes I got better at asking for help. Admittedly, that was something I'd be like, oh no, I've got to go alone, strength, all these kind of things. And it's something I've had to call myself out for, because it doesn't do any favors to keep things bottled up. Yet I also found sometimes well-intentioned people are not always the best people to talk to. And sometimes people who'd be like, oh, mate, I saw your post, look like you're a little bit upset, a little bit vulnerable right now. And that's okay to share that. And do share the relevant people and in your own way. Yet when I speak to certain people, they're still working through a lot of challenges themselves. Now, yeah, sometimes it's better talking to them than nothing, but I found there's certain people who I felt a lot more energy and better talking to. And people who sometimes are well-intentioned are still working, like we're all working through things, but are perhaps not in a position whereby they can necessarily give you advice. And you don't necessarily need advice. You need if you want someone who's perhaps working through their own stuff, they just want to listen to you, that can be fine, right? If they're gonna listen, you've got an ear. But then if someone who's really struggling with something, they've not overcome the challenge you're talking about yet, is giving you advice, oh, you should do this, this, and this, and they're just giving you a bunch of theories, or they're perhaps coming from a negative place, even though they don't mean to, then that's going to make you feel worse. So that's one thing I've learned. I've also learned when I scroll social media like too much. Now I post a lot of content, so I do that, and I still have to call myself out for it a little bit. That's also impacted me. And then there's certain things with my health, like drinking too much or eating certain foods. I always log what I'm eating, actually impacts how I feel, and therefore my thoughts, and therefore my self-talk to myself. Now, I want you to realize this: you have more power than you realize over your self-esteem and confidence. And that's what I really want to express. And I am really here as a guide to help you through that. Okay. Now, ask yourself this: how is it helping you if you're perhaps in a cycle when you're letting things damage your self-esteem and confidence? If you're anything like me, when you get into a bad cycle, there's a few weeks or so where I was in a really bad place in the last year, and I just caught myself on a cycle. It didn't do me any favors. So ask yourself that. And it was a test, I saw it as, really to allow me to grow and teach the stuff even more and really live it. Okay. So here are a few points really to think about. So the first one is knowing what you want honestly. What gives you energy, right? Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you want. What gives you energy? For me, it's creating content. I love creating content. For me, it's hanging out with certain individuals. For me, it's certain types of exercise. So first, ask yourself, what gives you energy? What is it you want? The second one, start thinking about what's a system that's going to support your self-esteem and confidence. Now, what I mean by that is there's habits, yeah, but when we think of habits, and I'm going to make another episode on this a bit deeper, is when we'll just be like, okay, I'm going to do all these loving stuff. I'm going to do all the self-care. And then we put so much on our plates. Maybe we do it for a few days and then we get exhausted and we give up and we're like, oh, life's got hard again. We stop. You need a system that's sustainable and to keep you in place. That can be an accountability partner. That can just be 2-minute habits. Right. For me, I post on social media my accountability. I've been doing a 75 hard challenge, which is a 75-day challenge, health challenge that's really helped me. And then the third one, I want to re-emphasize this again: get the right people into your life. If you've got people who bring you down, and they say things that make you feel bad, whether it's intentioned or not intentioned, then try and remove yourself from them as much as possible. Now, I know it's quite hard if you've got someone really close. Yeah, I do want to give you or make you feel like you've got as much power as possible, because people obviously limit themselves quite a lot. And I don't want you to limit yourself on what you can do to actually potentially get away from certain people in your life. Okay, now here is a bonus one that's really going to protect you, because it tells you love you no matter what. And it's this. Just do this for a week. Like every day, look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you love you, that you really, really love you. And do that for at least 5 minutes, ideally 10, and then just note what comes up. The first thing you could do in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and say, Johnny, I love you. Obviously, if your name's not Johnny, you don't say Johnny. Your name and then followed by I love you. And really hold the gaze, really be present as much for it. And it might be difficult. It may be challenging. Emotions may come up, but put yourself through that and do that every day. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you're in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.